Hi everyone, welcome to another one of my table talks. Today primarily I'm just going to do kind of a midterm review, I guess if you want, on the quad racing motors that I've been testing in ParkJet thus far. So if you came here looking for how a quad motor works in a quad, I'm actually basing my ratings and my rankings and my recommendations on being used in a foam ParkJet, just like this one. But you know, you're more than willing, or more than welcome to hang out anyway. So a couple weeks ago, somebody asked me a question on one of my videos, sort of how I ranked the motors I tested thus far, based on price, weight, thrust, that sort of thing. So in the last several days, I've rewatched my field test videos, checked my notes, that sort of stuff, and just kind of confirmed what I'd already knew in my head. Now, obviously, you know, a few caveats here. All of my field testing, essentially, I've actually been pretty lucky, I suppose. All my field testing's taken place in just about zero wind conditions, maybe 5 miles an hour maximum. So, you know, as spring, summer arrives here where I fly, I tend to fly more regularly in, you know, 10-mile-an-hour winds, maybe sometimes even up to 15, gusting up to 15. So, you know, those rankings might fluctuate because I think, you know, to fight the wind, depending on the plane, I might need a little bit more power and a little bit more torque. So the rankings might fluctuate. I'm also waiting, well, I actually have one motor that just arrived that I haven't tested yet. And I have 3 others in the mail, which will make for a total of 12. So I'm hoping I have the discipline to kind of draw the line there, because I'm kind of going broke saving money buying these things when they're on sale. You know, the other thing is you know, I've set the challenge for myself to run these on 3-cell with you know, more 6-inch size props for using in ParkJets, and they're also you know, mounted in a pusher configuration, where these were designed, you know, more of in a tractor or puller configuration. And of course, all my numbers are going to be based. This is the 6x4 APC gas, which is kind of my new favorite. Well, it is. It's not kind of. It is my new favorite all-around prop for using in ParkJets. Now, everything is sort of based on, you know, in comparison to, this is the 2212, 2200 kV motor. You know, I sort of call it the workhorse motor of ParkJets. You know, it's one of the main things I was looking for was equal or greater power, but at considerably less weight, because this is a fairly heavy motor. It weighs 67 grams. And I think that, you know, as I'll talk a little bit more as we go along here, I think that I've achieved that thus far. So I've sort of broken this into, I've got 8 motors here that I've all field tested. Some of them I have bench tested, and some of them I haven't. I actually, lucky me, I actually received my little bench test thrust stand here in the mail from Banggood. I was actually shocked, because it only took 19 days to get here, which is probably the fastest shipping I've ever had from Banggood. I'm going to have a write-up on that on my blog shortly. There's some things that I have to get ready and modify to before I can start actually testing motors with it. Yesterday, maybe a couple days ago, by the time this video is posted, I wrote a very detailed blog post, sort of, you know, trying to make sense of what all the numbers mean and what I've learned thus far. I've actually been playing around now with quad racing motors since April of 2017, starting off with this little beauty here. This is the RC Timer 2205-2550. And then, you know, after watching many of RC Plane Pirates videos, as well as some videos by another guy who's just a wealth of information on primarily quadcopter type stuff, but a lot of stuff on motors, Joshua Bardwell. He did an excellent interview with a fellow named Ryan Harrell, who runs a website called miniquadtestbench.com, which is unbelievably full of information and details. You know, I increased my knowledge of sort of what to start to look for. There's also another fellow, His YouTube channel is called Kabab, Kabab FPV, and in that blog post I've posted one of his videos as well, which I actually, for me, found very easy to understand. So I won't put links to all these motors. The links to all these motors and other details, pictures, and that sort of stuff are in that blog post. So I'm just going to link the blog post in the comments below. So I've essentially split these motors into kind of two groups. They sort of break at 2700 kV if you want, sort of regardless of the size. So these motors are all 2700 kV or higher, and these ones are lower than 2700 kV. So again, another caveat, I should, being honest, my flying style, the way I'm sort of ranking these motors is based on sort of my flying style, what I look for. I like to have a motor that's, got really good top end speed as well as good torque, for those whole shot acceleration, vertical climb outs, all that sort of stuff. I know sometimes that it's a lot to ask, but that's kind of what I look for. But all of these motors, just because I've sort of ranked them numerically doesn't mean that any of them are really bad. I haven't really been disappointed with any of them. I sort of got out of them what I expected out of them, based on the challenges that I was setting forth. And I've actually, as I'll talk about, there's a couple of them that were actually really, actually three of them that were quite pleasant surprises. So anyway, so I will, I'll start off with the 2700 kV and higher, because these ones sort of suit my flying style the best. So I think right now my top overall favorite motor, this is the Emax RS 2306 2750 kV. I bought this one from Hobby King, so I'll just run through a few numbers here real quick on each motor. I paid $21.99 US for it, but free shipping on the motor, and I think it's still showing up as free shipping. It's actually rated at 2630 kV actually on miniquadtestbench.com, but overall this one gives me the best performance in standpoint of torque, acceleration, and overall speed. It's quite light, even for as powerful as it is and its size, with all the hardware, prop, everything. 47 grams, 1.7 ounces, and actually not too bad efficiency wise, 32.4 amps. So this would be my number one, the Emax RS 2306 2750 for my flying style anyway. Alright, so we actually sort of have a bit of a tie for second place. This is the B-Rotor Z2207 2780 from RC Timer. Comparatively, these two are very, very close in top end speed. The 2207, this is the Brother Hobby Returner R2 2205 2800 kV. These are both really, really well made motors. This one, the B-Rotor, cost me $16.99. Weighs 50 grams, 1.8 ounces, 32 amps, full throttle on 3-cell with the prop. So the torqueier of the two, but it's heavier. This one's 50 grams. Like I said, pretty much equivalent top end speed. So again, tied for second, mostly because this one, again, equivalent top end speed. But this one only weighs 40 grams with all the hardware on it, this Brother Hobby motor. So it's unbelievably powerful for its size and its weight. So when you're looking at sort of power to weight ratio, this is the lightest motor of all of them that I tested at 40 grams, 1.4 ounces, draws 34.5 amps. So it's a little bit more amp hungry. I think the most amp hungry of all the motors. It's regularly $20.99 at Banggood. I actually got mine on sale for $14.99, and I think it might still be on sale at as of what's today, 18th of January 2018. So these two are sort of tied for second, depending on what you're looking for. And I should say this B-Rotor, I don't know if I mentioned it, the B-Rotor actually is made by RC Timer, comes from RC Timer. Again, there'll be links in the blog post. So this one was actually one of the really pleasant surprises. This is the Racer Star BR2306S 2700 kV. It's very inexpensive. It's only $8.99 at Banggood, regular price. Quite light actually, 44 grams, 1.6 ounces, and pretty efficient, 29 amps even on 3 cells. So you might actually even get away with being able to run this on a good quality 30 amp speed controller, you know, like a Turnigy Plush 30 amp speed controller, which has a 40 amp burst rating. I think you might be okay. You just might have to be careful, you know, with throttle management and check it regularly for heat. But you know, if you can run this on a 30 amp speed controller, you're going to save yourself another probably 7 or 8 grams weight in your plane. So in this category, the 2700 kV and higher, this is definitely the best value. It's, you know, doesn't have quite as much torque or top end speed as all the others. I should mention that this, you know, even though this one is very, very small, this Brother Hobby one, 2205 is pretty small. I would never go, I think, in my park jet smaller than 2205. But what it lacks in size, the KV helps make up for that somewhat. But again, you know, that's flying it in very calm conditions. But anyway, like I said, value for the dollar. This Racer Star 2306S 2700. You know, so far very, very, very impressed with it. Really good value for the dollar there. Okay, so that's the 2700 kV and higher. So the second category, and I guess what I look for, I should say now. So what I look for is if I have a plane where, you know, some planes are just never going to be able to, you know, unless you put a jet engine on them, they're never going to go really, really fast. Pardon me, just because the airframe is a bit draggy. Like the F-18 version 5 from RC Powers is probably the most draggy plane that I have right now. So if I don't have a plane that's going to give me, or a motor that's going to give me, you know, good top end, really good top end speed, I tend to look for a motor that's going to be able to give me really, really good, you know, bottom end torque, so that I can, you know, fly around, do some, you know, lots of aerobatics, and, you know, have the confidence that, you know, when I need to hammer that throttle, get myself out of trouble if I'm, you know, experimenting or playing around or trying to learn some kind of new maneuver, that I've got that you know, that real muscle to kind of muscle myself out of trouble. So I rated these motors with that in mind. So this is the Racer Star BR2406S 2600 kV. Another you know, nice surprise from Banggood. You know, when you read different reviews, you know, Racer Star motors kind of get mixed reviews because, you know, they are inexpensive. They're sort of the bargain level of motors. But I'm very, very impressed with how this works. In fact, of all of these motors here, probably because it has the fattest, maybe that's not a good word, but the widest, biggest diameter stator, this one has the most, you know, grunt, that low end torque of all the motors, but it's not you know, as fast as any of the other 2700 kV and more. But again, really good. So just quick and dirty, $12.87 from Banggood. I think it's actually on sale. You can also buy these if you really, really like these, because they're quad motors. I've seen them where you can buy, right now I think you can buy 4 of them for just under $42. So you know, that's another plus side of using these quad motors, because sometimes you can buy them in bundles and save a little bit of money. But this is definitely the torquiest motor, and I think a really good value for the power and the torque. So that's the Racer Star BR2406S 2600. The next one in this category I would rank is, this is the Multi-Star Viking 2208 2600. I got this one from Hobby King. It's probably the most expensive right now of all the motors that I've tested. If you pay full price, it's regular $28.14. Fortunately, because I got some good intel from RC Plane Pirate, I picked mine up on sale for $16.10. Now in this lower KV, this one's probably the fastest, you know, just by a little bit. not as torquey as this one, the Racer Star, but very good quality motor. Really impressed with how good it is. And it's very similar to the DYS 2208 2600, which I've used quite a bit, but it's about 4 grams lighter, a little bit more powerful, and I think a little bit better made, a little bit better quality. So good motor. Viking Multistar 2208 2600. That's number 2 in this category. So these two, these are kind of the first two motors that I tested. This is that I decided to buy. They look very much the same because they come with, I may have mentioned in another video, and I've actually done a full table talk. This is the 2205 2550. I've done a full table talk on this motor already because it's the one that I have used the most. This one's a 2306 2650. It has a bit more torque than the Multistar Viking, but it's not as fast. These two are probably about the same speed, but this one does lack torque. And because I have flown this the most, I have found situations where, if I'm in some wind with a plane that's around 21 ounces or so, it really struggles to get to power itself through. I'm sorry I missed the other numbers on this Multistar Viking. I just remembered. So I already mentioned the price. It's 52 grams, 1.8 ounces, 29.5 amps. So it's the most amp hungry of all these motors. This Racer Star is 48 grams, 1.7 ounces, 26.9. So I think all of these motors with the 6x4 APC gas prop, you could comfortably run with a 30 amp speed controller. I'd keep an eye with this motor because it is a little bit more amp hungry. This one actually is 52 grams, 1.8 ounces, $11.99, pulls 29 amps. Not a bad motor. Like I said, it's good. It's definitely got more torque than this one. It's probably more equivalent, although it doesn't quite have the torque. It's actually probably more equivalent in speed to this, the 2212 2200, but it's about a half an ounce lighter. In all honesty, for me, I don't think I would buy another one of these 2306 2650. Again, it's not a bad motor, and I'm sure I'll find it'd be a good motor, I think, to put in in a beater plane in the wintertime that I'm not worried about really ripping around too bad. This one, the 2550 2205 2550, because it's the lowest kV of all the motors, this is probably the most versatile. If you go watch the video, I've used several different props on this motor, and it's swung them all really well, including master air screw 6x4x3. What I find interesting, and I know you're not going to be able to see it here, but this 2550 one, the 2205, if you need to replace the shaft, it's actually got a little tiny bolt down here on the bottom that you can just easily remove with a little tiny Allen key. And this one is the 2650 2306. You have to pop the clip off. So they look like almost identical motors, and I'm sure they're both from RC Timer, but it's kind of funny that they have the different ways to attach the shaft. So so there we go. Like I said, none of these are bad motors, and I'm hoping that in the way that I presented this, that if there's, I know everybody doesn't fly like me, and that's cool. I don't think everybody should fly like me. And do your own thing. That's the beauty of park jets. You can do your own thing, and the only person you have to keep happy when you're staying out at the field is yourself. But I'm hoping in what I've given you here in this video, as well as the blog post, it'll kind of help you, because the one thing that's a bit of a double-edged sword I'm finding, wading through all these quad racing motors, is that the selection, based on size, stator size, KV, price, brands, all that sort of stuff is actually quite staggering, which I guess to a certain extent, means you've got a wide variety of choice, where these 2212 size motors, you've basically got the no-name brand. RC Timer sells one, and I think, and then of course Hobby King. And outside of that, you don't have a whole lot of brand names. Whereas with these, you've got tons and tons of choice. But then what that makes it difficult is, you sort of have to find. It takes a little bit more research and experimentation. So just real quick, for how I like to fly in these 2700 or more kV, I would probably not go, except this what again was one of the ones that surprised me, the B Rotor 2207. I would probably go with the wider, slightly wider, like a 23, maybe even a 24 if I could find one, in 05 or 06, and then 2700 kV or higher. I think that's going to give me, from what I've seen thus far, would give me the best speed and the best torque. So most of the motors that I have coming, except for one, I have one other Brother Hobby that's kind of a small one. It's a 2205, but most of the rest of them are closer to this size. And then from what I saw here, going down into the lower kV, 2600 and lower than 2700. I really like this one with again the wider 24 millimeter stator, and probably a 06. This is a good size. If you're if you want a motor that's not horribly fast, but you want to do lots of different tricks and aerobatics, and always know that when you're punch that throttle, that it's going to hopefully get you out of trouble, so you can recover back and then get back into doing your routine. So anyway, like I said, please check out the blog post. It'll be linked down below. Look forward. Again, I'll be doing my initial impressions on the thrust stand here probably in the next couple of days. The weather right now is not conducive to any sort of flying probably for the next couple of weeks. So I'm doing a lot of catch up on my blog, rewriting some articles that I had on the NAMC blog, but I'm bringing them over to my blog and updating them considerably. So there's my midterm review on the 8 quad racing motors that I've field tested already. I will have the bench numbers updated once I get my thrust stand up and running. Like I said, I have 4 more left to field test, so there's a potential that my ranking will change, and I will do once I get sort of to that point. I'm going to probably call it quits on buying new motors for a while, and just go with what I have. So again, please, if you have any questions, please check out the comments down below. I'll also link my my email address, scott.parkjet@gmail.com, if you want to email me and chat about motors or anything else to do with Parkjets. Please feel free to do that. So thanks very much for watching. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Parkjet noise, the other sound of freedom. Take care.